Hello. Today we learn how to clean a wild turkey skull. Hang in there.
All right, y'all, welcome back. Today on the turkey skull video, I'm filming this entire thing with a 170 macro lens. I had a buddy offer it to me to try it. I'm absolutely gonna buy one. It's gonna look just a little tiny bit different because everything's gonna be super close. So these skulls came to me a bit bloody. When you're hunting turkeys, that neck region is right where you wanna shoot them. So a lot of times that shot will break a bunch of blood vessels or damage the skull. So I'm just giving them a real quick rinse, more than anything for YouTube. I'm trying to stay in good favor. Here's a real close look at that gobbler's noodle. Man, these things are so detailed. There's so much stuff going on in these heads. It's crazy. So you can almost say it with me, but rule number one in skull cleaning, remove everything you can first. Meaning, take a knife and pull that skin and all the meat and tissue that you can cut off with a knife, remove it first. Pretty straightforward, right? Now around the outside of the eyeball on a turkey is like a little kind of hard ring. I was going to try and save them, but they did not save for me. Just keep in mind, this method that I'm showing you today is boiling and power washing. I'm doing bird skulls because so many people say, hey, can you do birds? This method will work, but it is not ideal for birds, and turkeys are really hardy. So if you have a special bird or a bird that you want done, I would suggest sending it to a beetle guy or somebody that's going to use what I call the rot off method. But just for reference, it can be done this way, but it's a little bit crude for fragile bird skulls. Now that I've got both of those turkeys skinned, here's a quick look. I left the eyes in one and took them out of another. Just curiosity at this point. I'm going to drop them into this pasta strainer. I love this tool. And then I'm going to set them in a pot, fill it full of water, and then scrape in a couple of shards of Zote pink soap and bring it to a boil. I know, blah, Ryan. Get to the point, man. Show us something new. I get it. Check it out. When you're doing bird skulls, kind of like a horn, you got to remove the beak. You can put the beak back on, but you got to get it off first. So I pulled that thing out of the boil 4 or 5 minutes, and then I'm just going to wiggle. Remember that song? Wiggle. Okay. Anyway, so just wiggle those beaks off. The first one was a pain in the tail. On the second one, I took the knife and I cut a little bit where it's connected to the bone there and wiggled them off. Back in the boil, 10 minutes, we're going to pull it out and start power washing. The key to washing skulls with a power washer is you want to spray into every hole and every orifice. Anywhere there's meat or tissue, make it go away. Sidebar, when you're doing birds, you got to be wicked delicate. Low pressure, fan setting, and make sure you're close and tight to that thing. Meaning, if you got gloves on, you can get your hands in there close. Just make sure you don't get your hands where you're going to cut them. Sorry for the rambling. Let's get to washing. Y'all, I could have done 2 deer faster than 2 turkeys. Delicate is not my thing. So I washed them, and I spent a lot of time washing them. Again, really, really delicate. I left everything together, and then I dropped them back in the strainer, and then I'm going to put them in a batch of Whitebone Creations whitening mix. It's hydrogen peroxide and water. A rough mix is about 50-50. I'll put the product description in the description. Just saves a little confusion. I bring that to a boil. I turn the boil off, and then I pull them out and power wash as much as I can off. Now, I intentionally left everything together as good as I could, meaning the bottom of that jaw and the top of the head, I left it together. Now, the reason I did this is because once they dry, anything that's still on that skull will actually flake and pick off really easy. So if I miss something, which I'm planning on, then I can just take a little tiny pick or tweezer and pop it off, and it's nice and clean. This is what they look like after I was done washing. Now I'm gonna let them dry. You can see I did lose a pin bone on the jaw here. I'm gonna let them dry. This next picture is them dry. I'm picking off that little flaky stuff, and then I'm gonna drop them into a mason jar, fill it full of straight peroxide cold, let it sit overnight, and then I'm gonna pick it up in the morning. 12 hours in the soak. I'm gonna open up the jar, put the product back in the bottle. Don't do this barehanded. I'm just an idiot sometimes. It'll burn your hands. It's gonna turn them white. Not so good. And then I've got a little Insta-Hot on the counter there. I'm gonna fill it full of 180-degree water because I think everything dries better when it comes out of a hot solution. That's just rinsing. I pour it out. I look over the last little bit, pick off whatever I can, and let them dry. In a couple hours, they were good and dry. I super glued the beaks back on. They just literally slide on like you're putting on a shoe. I put a little dab of super glue in there, and then I brush them real finely with Mop and Glow and super glue anything that's loose. That's it.
Does it look like I filmed the start and the finish of this film in the same spot? I did. I did that because I'm playing with these new Lav Pro mics from Rode. My biggest issue in filming anything is always wind and background noise. You can always hear planes flying over my place and lawnmowers. And anyway, so I've been playing with these mics, and when I started this video, excuse me, it picks up a little too much of that as well. But I had the mic turned inside so it didn't look so obvious, and it was literally crammed up against my neck, and the entire film was jacked up. You would think I'd be a little more experienced by now, but I will forever continue to make mistakes. So the turkey skull, you've seen it. They're so neat. I've done a bunch of them years past, but I like them better without the beak instead of the beak on there, but whatever. Anyway, cool little skull. It can be done with a power washer. Just be careful, be delicate. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time.